are you? Right? And we're all in search for that. Like the people that I talk to every single day are in search of who they truly are, not the mask that we put on, right? Not the fake smile that we put on.
All this happened for myself and my family. There's no way that this is real, man, it can't be.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Modify Your Life podcast, where I am your host, Anthony Lopez, also known as Heavy to Modified. And today on Modify Your Life, where we talk about transforming our life mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. Who are you? Right? Because to some people, you're a mom. To some people, you're a dad. To some people, you're a sister. Some people, you're a brother. Right? But who are you? Right? And we're all in search for that. Like the people that I talk to every single day are in search of who they truly are, not the mask that we put on, right? Not the fake smile that we put on, not the everything's going to be okay, right? Like, who are you? What makes you happy? What makes you unique? What makes you smile? What makes you sad? Right? What are you doing this all for? Right? And I feel like we start these weight loss journeys and these life change and these crash diets or whatever you want to, talk about. And we just don't really focus on us. Like, why are you doing this? Who are you and who do you want to become? When you look in the mirror, what's looking back at you? Who's looking back at you? Do you even recognize the person that you see anymore? Is this where you thought you're going to be at in 5 years? Right? And the best thing about this conversation is that if you're looking in the mirror right now, or if you've looked in the mirror recently, and the answer is you don't know, well, let's talk about it. Because at one point in my life, I didn't know who I was. I completely lost control of who Anthony Lopez was because I fell victim to my excuses. My excuses took over everything, right? My eating habits were bad. Going out, I lived for the weekend. Like I was literally the people that Andy talks about. If you don't know what I'm talking about Andy Frisella. I was literally that person. I was a person that lived for the weekend. I was a person that said yes to everything. I was a person who had no goals, had no ambition, but yet talked a big game, right? And talking a big game does not mean having big game, right? We all talk about what we want to do. We all talk about who we want to become. We all talk about who we think we are, but our actions don't align with that. And that is the biggest mistake we can do because now we start losing ourselves. Now we're in a position that we're at today. Now we're at a dead-end job. Now we are living a life that we were not raised to have. We were not brought up to have. This is not stuff we learned from our family and friends. This is a lifestyle that we are living we're not even comfortable in. And it's all because of talking the talk. It's all of 2024, new year, new me. It's all because I'm going to do better tomorrow, right? It's all those years that we accumulated of saying that, and we just started living that life of I'll start tomorrow. And then I'll start tomorrow, I'll start next week. And then I'll start next week starts, 2025, that's going to be my year. Until we get to the point where I was once at where I didn't even make New Year's resolutions. I didn't even set any goals. I was so stuck and complacent in my way and in my lifestyle that I forgot who Anthony Lopez wanted to become. And if you're listening to this right now and you're feeling like, hey, why are you calling me out there, big dog? It's because I've been there, right? I lost my own identity. I became a person who I was not proud of in the mirror. And at the end of the day, I think it's safe to say all of our goals is to be someone that we're proud of. Be someone that our kids look up to. Be someone that our parents are proud that that's my son, that's my daughter, right? That our cousins, our nieces, our nephews are something that we could just, they could celebrate us, right? And now we don't do the work for this, but guess what? As the work gets put in, that's what happens. Let me bring that back real quick. We don't do the work to be praised or to be looked up at, but when we put in the work, that is what happens, right? Because when we choose to put in the work to become a better version of ourselves, it goes noticed because now we're going against the 95% of the world. Now we're becoming that 5%. And not financially yet, but guess what? Sometimes you can't measure wealth with just money, right? Are you mentally happy? Are you mentally successful? Are you mentally the person that you want to look at in the mirror and be proud of? And it kind of refers me to this like conversation that I had with myself like a long time ago. And I can't really put a year date, but it was a long time ago. It was before I started losing weight. My brother and them my brother would go out. Now, me and my brother's age gap is not that different where we can't hang out. Like I was too old. I wasn't the cool brother, right? But what it was is that he would go snowboarding. They would go to Disneyland and all this stuff. And I would never, get invited by him. And one time I felt like a certain way because it would happen a lot. But I never looked at the bigger picture. It's not that he didn't want to invite me. It's not that he didn't want to hang out with his older brother, right? It was just the fact that he knew it wasn't possible for me to do it. So he just gave up on asking me. Because before he would ask me, but then it went to a point where he didn't ask me to do anything, right? And when I talked to him, when I started to start my weight loss journey, I asked him, I was like, yo, like, you never invited me snowboarding. He's like, well, think about it. Like, you couldn't really do that. And I was like, damn. Like, that's the person who I was becoming, that my own brother couldn't invite me because of my own selfish acts. Like, that's not who Anthony Lopez was raised to be. That's not who you're raised to be for someone that looks up to you. Like, it is like a fact, your younger brothers and sisters always look up to the oldest one, right? And so I wasn't even becoming who I felt that I should be, but I was talking the big game. But I got to a point where I was so overweight and I was being controlled so much about my eating and my eating problems and addictions, or whatever you want to call it, is that now, like, I wasn't even allowed to be a good older brother because of my choices. And then that's like a horrible, horrible feeling to have, to know that you weren't invited because of your weight. It wasn't that you weren't cool. It wasn't that he didn't want to invite me. It was because he knew that my weight was the problem, And so just looking back and like how that's not who Anthony Lopez was meant to be. I became of the world. I chose to put eating over my health, eating over becoming a good brother, a good son, a good boyfriend, a good person, right? Because let's be honest, when you're overweight, you're most likely, you're a little snippy when it comes to things, right? Because things are real sensitive, right? You go around and people start bringing up, hey, you're gonna eat all that food, you get really uncomfortable, right? Or friends invite you somewhere and there's nothing but booths there, I don't want to go, I'm too busy today, but you just can't fit. All right, I'm gonna go to a music park, but like, I don't want to go. That's whack. I don't like Disneyland. I don't know, but knowing you can't fit in the ride, or Six Flags, definitely not Six Flags. I could not fit in Six Flags rides. But reflecting on that conversation, like it really hurt deep. But the only reason why it hurt so much is that it was because it was my fault, right? It's my fault. The things that hurt the most are most likely the truth, right? And because I chose to let food control my life and me not make the decision that to become a better person, to become the person I'm proud of looking in the mirror, because I chose to become the opposite of who Anthony Lopez talked about being, but wasn't willing to put in the work, I was now sacrificing my relationship with not only my brother, but I only can imagine how many other people didn't invite me places, And so when I was getting over here, I was getting prepared to do this podcast. I'm like, well, who are you? Who are you? And if you would have asked me that years ago, I would have came up with this crazy, elaborate story of how successful I'm becoming and how busy I am and how booked I am and how I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. And looking back and reflecting, if you asked me who I was then, I was a liar. Straight up. Procrastinator. Right? I talked a big game. I talked like I was him, but I wasn't willing to put in the work like I was him. And it's something that we lose focus on. It's something that we start looking left and looking right and seeing what Susan and Billy and Jessica and all these people are doing, and we forget to focus on ourselves, right? We forget to focus on who you want to be. When's the last time you've asked yourself that question, When's the last time, think about it, when's the last time you've looked yourself in the mirror and said, who am I? And if you did ask your question, did you lie to yourself? Because I know I would. But I'll tell you right now, you could lie to yourself 10 times from Tuesday, but it doesn't mean it's going to be true, right? But I'll tell you what can change is your actions on becoming the person you really want to become, right? For you to find yourself. You, not as a mom, not as a dad, not as a son, not as a father, uncle, X, Y, and Z. You as a human being. What are you? Who are you? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What do you want to achieve in the next 365 days? Where do you want to be in the next 365 days? Because if you do not have the answers to that, then the answer is, who are you, is you don't know yet. And I completely understand that. I was there. Right? I told you I was a liar, a procrastinator, right? But until I started working on myself and until I started actually putting in the effort to become who Anthony Lopez knew he should be, I didn't see change. Talking about it's good. Oh man, we could talk all day. You give me something and I'll come up with an excuse not to do it. Fast. Very fast. I should probably be honest, I shouldn't even write a book about, I shouldn't write a book about my weight loss journey. I should write a book about excuses. Endless excuses, right? But that's all I had. That's what I was full of, is endless excuses. Excuses on why I can't do this, why I can't do that, why this is unfair, X, Y, and Z. They should have better seats, whatever it might be, right? But at the end of the day, they were just cop-outs. They're just cop-outs because I was scared to work on myself. It's a scary task to look at yourself in the mirror and hold yourself accountable. It's a difficult task to look in the mirror and figure out who you are and ask who you are, because it's uncomfortable. And think about it, when we're uncomfortable, we're growing, but we don't realize that, because in the moment we're so uncomfortable, we just kind of fear away from it, because we all fear a little bit of pain, right? We all fear the truth. Maybe you don't want to know who you are. But I tell you right now, if you don't really have this conversation with yourself and figure out who you are, the person right now listening to this podcast, who that person is, then how are you going to create goals into order to become that person? How are you going to take the time and the effort to learn who that person is if you at first don't even know who you are? It's a serious thing, right? We lose ourselves. We get caught in social media. No, I'm not Anthony Lopez. I'm heavy. I'm El Jefe Vlogs. I have a Camaro. No, I just had a Camaro to hide my true feelings. If that means me being overweight and me being uncomfortable about that. No, okay. Who am I? Oh man, I'm Anthony. I'm always happy. I always have a good time. I love drinking on the weekends. I love hanging out with my friends. No, I drank every weekend because it was easier to drink every single weekend than to go to the gym. That's why. Oh, I'm Anthony Lopez. No, man, this guy's always got my back. He'll pick me up whenever. No, I didn't want to pick you up. I just didn't want to lose a friendship. You know what I mean? Like, who are you? Right? Because behind all this mask is the person who you really want to become. Behind all the cover-ups and the lies to yourself and to our friends and family and to people that love us, the lies that we tell the person sitting next to us, the lies you tell yourself, doesn't make you who you are, right? And you don't have to stay and maintain that person, right? The best thing about life is, like, every single day we wake up, we have a reset button, right? And you could literally start changing today on working on who you really are. You want to lose 100 pounds this year. You could do that. You want to go on a business adventure. You could do that. You want to be a better human being. You can do that. You want to be a better mom, a better dad, a better uncle. You can do that. But it's going to take not just listening to this podcast. It's not going to take listening to 100 different podcasts. It's going to take what I just said right now. Figure out who you are, who you want to become, right? And what are you doing now? And times that by the next 5 years. And is that going to put you in the position where you want to be? Are you going to become that version of yourself that you speak so highly about, that your kids speak so highly about, that your kids don't want you to drop you off 2 miles away from school because you ain't cool enough to be seen, right? I know that one hurt. Sorry. I'm just being honest. But that is a person that you deserve to become. But we do not deserve to become that person if we're not willing to put in the work, right? And we have to understand that. We are not skipping the hard part, right? We're not skipping that. We're not skipping the hard part. We're not skipping the discipline and the accountability and the consistency. Unfortunately, that is not how life works. And nothing that's worth having is not worth working for. I was going to say fighting for. I guess it's both, right? We are working for it, but we also have to fight for it, right? I have to fight to build better habits, right? I had to fight to change my thought process on food, right? I had to fight to get my life back. Honestly, I was not living life the way I should be living. I was not the best brother. I was not the best son, right? My pain tolerance to life was so small because every single little hurdle I had, I ran away from it, right? Ran away from it. Even though on the other side of that problem was a stronger Anthony Lopez, was more of the Anthony Lopez who I wanted to become, I ran from it, right? Because it's easier to run away from problems than it is to face it head on. Because when you run into a problem and you start facing the problem, now you realize you have a problem and you have the obligation to fix it. That's scary, right? When you look in the mirror and you realize that you're looking at yourself and you're not that fit person you were in high school anymore, now you have to fix it. When you realize when you look at your bank account and it's not where you know it could be, you realize you have to start cutting back on your spending or level up in your business or your job or your workspace or whatever you're doing. Now it becomes a problem that you have no choice but to fix because you realize it was a problem. So what do? We don't face them. We don't bring the problems up. We don't talk about them. We run away from them. So therefore we run away from them. We think they're not there. But at the end of the day, how I break that down is like life is like a track. What does a track do? It's an oval. You run around, you come back around, you back around right there. So over time, you're going to keep running into those problems. They're going to keep stacking up, stacking up, stacking up, stacking up till shit, you can't even run anymore. The whole track's filled with problems. And one day you're going to face them. You're going to have to face them, right? And that, I think, would be safe to call that version of our version of rock bottom, whatever that looks like for you. Mine was over 600 pounds, suicidal, depressed, stressed, unhappy, a whole bunch of masks on. Didn't know who myself was. Didn't know who Anthony Lopez was. Right? Your rock bottom doesn't have to look like that. I honestly feel too that our rock bottoms, they don't all look the same, but I feel like the feeling is the same. Like I feel no different than someone at 280 pounds that is at their heaviest and going through the hardest part of their life. So I don't think that I worked harder because I was at over 600 pounds. And I don't think my story is better than someone that started at 200 or 300 or 400. That's not how it is. Rock bottom is your version of rock bottom. Rock bottom is you at the lowest of low. But the coolest thing about rock bottom is that the only way you could go is up. You just got to dig. You got to dig. You got to dig deep. You got to fight. You got to really want this stuff. You have to really want to look in the mirror and know who you are. And know who you're becoming, because there's nothing better than when you start working yourself. And the best thing about working on yourself is I'm not saying it takes years of this before you start seeing or feeling a change. Like you'll start feeling a change in a week if you just do the right thing. You see trash on the floor, pick it up. You see that your room has been dirty for 2 weeks, start cleaning it. When you know that you have time to meal prep, just meal prep one meal. When you've been saying that you're going to quit smoking, quit smoking. When you say that you're going to go play with your kids at the park longer, play with the kids. There's so many little wins we could do to start building up that confidence to achieve more. But it all starts with day one. It all starts with starting. And then, that's your day one. But if we don't start, if we don't realize what the problem is, if we don't set standards for ourselves, then we're never going to look in the mirror and know who we really are. Because you're never going to see yourself at your true potential. Because you weren't willing to put in the work. And coming from someone that spent his whole entire majority of his life, I don't know when I'm going to pass away. So I'll say for 27 years of my life, not creating the person who I was raised to be, not creating the person who Anthony Lopez knew he deserved to be, not putting the work to live and build the lifestyle that I knew that I wanted, coming from someone that was over 600 pounds, depressed, stressed, suicidal, I'll tell you right now, nothing feels better than when you put in work and you look in the mirror and you know who you are. And you know that you're on the path to not just making yourself proud, but we'll just say making your family proud, making your brothers proud. Now, we're not doing this work for the okay and the pat on the back from other people, but when you do the work, when you put in the work and when you become a good person, when you stand out because you just chose to put in the work that other people are willing to do, it doesn't go unnoticed. And it's like you're watering your seeds, but you're also watering other people around you. Now, not everyone's going to hop on board, right? We know that already. Not everyone's going to join you right away. They might be watching from the stands back there. They might have their goggles on, not goggles. What are you talking about? Binoculars on, but they're watching, and you don't know who you're motivating. You don't know who you're inspiring. Like I said, you're not doing it for them. But actually, at the end of the day, you working yourself is doing it for other people. You becoming selfish is becoming selfless. Because the people around you are going to be addicted to you leveling up, and someone's going to hop on board. you're going to change someone's life around you, whether that be your kids, right? If your kids are overweight and you're overweight and you start losing weight, that's going to spark something in their brain. Well, my mom and dad did it. I want to do it. Right? When I started losing weight, my little brother's always been like been healthy football player. But now he's asking me about why do I need my protein, or what kind of protein can I get? I want to go to the gym with you. We're constantly going. Now we get to have a fun relationship. Right now, I get to be the older brother that I've always wanted to be. I get to be the godparent I always want to be. I could be now I'm about to be uncle. And I could be the uncle. And then guess what? On top of that, and after all this, I get to be the dad I want to be. The dad who I know who Anthony Lopez was raised to be like. The person who I know I'll be proud of, as if I was my own father, I would be happy. Right? Because now I get to move around when I have a kid. I get to go to the playgrounds and hang out with them. We go snowboarding together, dirt bike riding, amusement parks. Everything. I'm going to have a kid and I'm excited. But it's all because I chose to become selfish. And because I chose to become selfish, now I become selfless. Because at the end of the day, we all have the right to look in the mirror, and what's looking back at us makes us happy. You have the right. You literally have the right to feel that way. But it's not given to you. It's earned. You also, you have the right to look a certain way, feel a certain way, act a certain way. You also have to take the steps, start becoming that person, right? Not just talking about that. Let's remove the mask, right? Let's remove the mask and really figure out, dive deep of who you are and what you want to be and what work you're willing to do to become that person. Because when you sit down and you figure out who you are, who you want to come to be, and you start taking action, I promise you, it is a life changer. It is a game changer. It is a life changer, mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. And spiritually. I keep forgetting to say the spiritually part too. It's nice to know that when I wake up, I'm happy. Like actually happy. Like this morning I woke up and I made a story on my post and I deleted it. I'm like, why does my energy sound so why am I so low? Like that's what people want to see. People are already waking up tired. You don't want to hear my freaking tired ass on there too. Like, hey guys, I'm taking my supplement. No. I was like, I should be happy. So I deleted that crap and I reposted. Like, I don't know what was wrong with me, but I should be happy that I'm doing cardio. One day in my life, I couldn't even get on the Stairmaster. I was too heavy. The machine wouldn't even work. I couldn't even get on the treadmill because the thing would slide. I should be happy that I'm doing this. I don't know how many years I added on my life, but I added a lot on. My mom doesn't have to wake up every single day, send me a text to make sure that I'm just alive. You know how insane that is? You know how much stress I probably put my mom through because of my poor decisions and my poor actions, my lack of accountability, my lack of discipline. That's horrible to put my mom through because I wouldn't look in the mirror and figure out who Anthony Lopez was. Actually, or I wouldn't look in the mirror and take action to Anthony Lopez needs to become. That's selfish. Now that is selfish. That is selfish right there. So I challenge you today. I want you to go. I want you to really sit down and think who you are. Who are you? Behind closed doors, when no one's looking, what do you think about? What makes you happy? Not what makes other people around you happy. What makes you happy? And who do you want to become? And are the things you're doing today, the things you've done today in the last 24 hours, do they fall in line with who you want to become? And if your answer is no, they do not fall in line with who you want to become, then what action are you going to take so you change the next 6 to 12 months of your life to become the person who you are proud of in the mirror? That question is yours. I can't answer that for you. I know what action I'm willing to do. And I'll tell you right now, I'm willing to do anything to become the person that looks back at me and I'm proud of my damn self. I'm willing to work harder than anyone. I'm willing to lift more than anyone, eat cleaner than anyone. I'm willing to anything I need to do legally that is going to make Anthony Lopez the best brother, the best son, the best husband, the best dad, the best uncle, the best godparent. I'm willing to do that. And I'm no different than you. I promise you that right now. I just know how it is to look in the mirror and see someone I don't even recognize anymore. And that is the worst feeling I've ever felt. So now it's your turn. So the real question is, who are you?
All this happened for myself and my family. There's no way that this is real, man, it can't be.